the planet Calira burned. Cities that had once gleamed under twin suns now lay in ruins. Smoke rose in thick gray clouds, carrying with it the cries of the wounded and the terrified. Alien soldiers, tall and slender with glimmering blue skin, struggled to hold back the enemy forces. Their weapons flashed, casting sparks across the darkened streets. Yet despite their skill, the enemy was strong, organized, and relentless. At the heart of the capital, the Queen watched from her tower. Her golden eyes, usually calm and commanding, were filled with worry. She had sent messages to the surrounding star systems calling for aid, but the response had been weak. Some powers hesitated, fearing the enemy's strength. Others simply ignored her pleas. Only silence answered. The Queen's hands rested on the edge of the tower's balcony as she stared at the chaos below. Her people were brave, but she knew that bravery alone would not save them. They needed a hero, someone who could act when others turned away. The galaxy had heard her call, and yet so far none had come. In the cold void of space, far from Calira, a human starfighter cut through the darkness. Inside the cockpit, Lieutenant Marcus Hale adjusted his controls with steady hands. The human military base had received the Queen's distress signal hours earlier. Most officers had dismissed it. "It's too dangerous," they had said. "Let the locals handle it. No one else is helping." But Marcus had not dismissed it. He had listened, not to fear or orders, but to something deeper. There was a call in the message, a note of desperation, but also of hope. Humans had always answered when others hesitated. They did not wait for perfect conditions or certain victory. They acted. "Coordinates set," Marcus said aloud, even though he was alone in the cockpit. "Time to see what humans can do." The starfighter roared forward, slipping past asteroid fields and distant star systems. Marcus's mind raced, but he kept his emotions steady. He thought about what the Queen had said in her message. Her world was on the brink. If Calira fell, countless lives would be lost. The human sense of duty kicked in. He would not turn away. As he neared the planet, the devastation became clear even from orbit. Cities were scorched. Smoke and fire stained the atmosphere. Alien ships, some damaged and barely flying, attempted to hold back the enemy. And yet, even in the chaos, Marcus noticed small details the aliens might have missed. Supply lines were stretched thin. Some defensive turrets were left unmanned. Weak points existed, and he could exploit them. A small alarm beeped in his cockpit. Marcus leaned forward, checking the incoming communication. It was the Queen herself, her holographic form shimmering in front of him. "Lieutenant Marcus Hale," she said, her voice steady but tinged with urgency. "You are the first to respond. Others, they have turned away. Can humans truly make a difference?" Marcus did not hesitate. "Your Highness, humans act when it matters. I am coming to help. Together, we will hold your cities and save your people." The Queen studied him. There was something different about this human, something in his calm confidence. Most who received her call had been terrified, hesitant, or prideful. Marcus seemed determined. He radiated a quiet courage that the Queen had not seen in centuries. "Then come quickly," she said. "Every moment counts, my people. They are afraid." Marcus adjusted his controls and began his descent. The starfighter plunged through the atmosphere, flames trailing behind as it braved the enemy fire. Alien turrets on the ground tried to target him, assuming he was an enemy ship. Marcus maneuvered with precision, avoiding each shot. He knew the human advantage was speed, adaptability, and unpredictability. The aliens had tactics, but humans had intuition. He landed in the city square near the palace. Debris littered the ground. Fires burned nearby. Alien soldiers shouted commands, trying to organize the scattered defenses. Some froze at the sight of Marcus, unsure of whether to trust this human stranger. Marcus stepped out of his ship, his uniform slightly scorched but intact. He carried no weapons larger than what humans usually used, yet his presence seemed to command attention. The Queen herself appeared, stepping down from the tower. "You are brave," she said. "Few would come alone into this battlefield." Marcus nodded. "Bravery is not the point, Your Highness. We save lives. That is what matters." The Queen glanced at her generals. Many looked skeptical. "He is human. How much can he do?" One officer whispered. Marcus overheard but did not respond. Instead, he focused on the wounded civilians near the square. With a few gestures and short instructions, he began organizing evacuation teams. Alien soldiers followed, surprised by his clear, direct commands. Marcus knew humans had a different way of seeing problems. He did not panic. He did not wait for perfect plans. He acted. Minutes passed, and the first civilians were safely moved to temporary shelters. Marcus's methods were simple but effective. Use what you have, act fast, and protect the vulnerable. Alien soldiers began to follow him, adapting to his style. They saw the human courage in action and realized they could trust him. Then came the first wave of enemy troops. They were heavily armored, armed with plasma rifles and advanced machinery. Alien defenses would have struggled against them. Marcus assessed the situation. There was no time to wait for reinforcements. He shouted orders, directing alien units to flank the enemy while he targeted weak points. Human tactics were different. Instead of direct confrontation, Marcus led ambushes using debris as cover and guiding soldiers to choke points where the enemy's strength counted for less. Alien troops, unaccustomed to such improvisation, marveled at the results. The enemy soldiers fell back, confused and frustrated. Marcus's strategy was working. Amid the chaos, Marcus spotted a group of children trapped in a collapsed building. Alien soldiers hesitated, unsure how to act. Marcus ran forward, lifting heavy beams and pulling the children to safety with his own hands. The Queen, watching from above, felt hope rising. Here was someone who would not abandon them. Someone who would answer the call when others had turned away. Hours passed. The battle raged, but with Marcus's guidance, more civilians were saved. More positions fortified, and more alien soldiers gained confidence. The enemy still pressed forward, but their advance slowed. The human soldier had changed the battlefield simply by being present, by acting decisively when others hesitated. Finally, as the twin suns began to set over the burning city, Marcus stood in the square, surrounded by alien soldiers and civilians alike. The Queen descended, her golden eyes shining. "You have done more than I imagined," she said. "Your courage, your actions, they give my people hope." Marcus shook his head. "I only did what humans do. We act when others hesitate. That is all." The Queen smiled, a mix of relief and admiration. "Then, Lieutenant Marcus Hale, you have earned not only our thanks but our trust. Tomorrow, the real battle begins, and I hope you will stand with us once more." Marcus looked at the horizon, where enemy ships still lingered. His resolve was firm. Humans did not flee from danger. They did not turn away from the helpless. And as long as he drew breath, he would stand. He would fight. The night fell over Calera, but for the first time in days, the city felt a spark of hope. One human had answered the call. One human had changed the tide. And the galaxy, far away, was about to see why humans could never be underestimated. The night over Calera was dark and heavy with smoke, but it could not hide the flicker of hope that now glimmered in the hearts of its people. Lieutenant Marcus Hale stood in the ruined city square, surrounded by alien soldiers and civilians. The firelight from nearby buildings painted his human face with sharp shadows, but he remained calm. His eyes scanned the battlefield, noting every detail, every weak point, every danger. The alien queen, Lyrana, descended from her tower, flanked by a few of her generals. Her golden eyes were still bright, but they carried exhaustion. She had faced countless battles, led her people through crises, but never had she seen a human act with such courage in the face of despair. "You've done well today, Lieutenant," she said. Her voice carried authority, yet it held warmth. "Even my bravest soldiers faltered when they saw the enemy." You did not." Marcus shook his head modestly. "I only did what needed to be done. Civilians had to be protected. That is all." The Queen studied him carefully. Humans were strange, unpredictable creatures. They did not follow the same rules as other galactic powers. They acted independently, relying on courage and quick thinking rather than waiting for orders. That made them dangerous and invaluable. "My generals are unsure," she said, glancing at the officers behind her. "They have trained for years, yet they cannot see what you did." "How do you do it?" Marcus smiled faintly. "We adapt, we act. Fear does not stop us. Planning is important, yes, but waiting for perfect conditions is not. You have to act even when the odds seem impossible." The Queen's attention shifted to the horizon. Enemy ships still hovered in the sky, their weapons scanning the city. Fires burned and smoke rose like pillars into the night. The battle was not over, not by far. "We must prepare for the next attack," Marcus said, his voice firm. "Your soldiers are skilled, but they fight differently than humans. I can help coordinate defenses, reorganize your units, and save more lives." The Queen turned to her generals. Some looked hesitant, pride and doubt in their eyes. He is human, one whispered. Can we trust him with our strategy? The Queen's gaze was sharp. I trust him, she said. He sees what others cannot. He acts when others hesitate. That is why he is here. Marcus walked among the troops, giving short, precise instructions. He reorganized defensive positions, moved wounded civilians to safer shelters, and showed alien soldiers how to use their environment to their advantage. Alien tactics focused on strength and direct engagement. Humans relied on creativity and improvisation. Marcus demonstrated the difference. By morning, the city was calmer, though the fires still burned and enemy forces remained nearby. Alien soldiers began to respect him. Even the generals who had doubted him could not ignore his results. They saw how one human could change the course of events. The Queen approached him as he inspected a damaged turret. Lieutenant, I need your opinion, she said. The enemy grows stronger each hour. My generals suggest waiting for reinforcements, but I fear that if we wait, it will be too late. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. Reinforcements are always useful, Your Highness, but waiting is dangerous. The enemy will continue to push forward. If we act now, we can turn the tide before they gain more ground. He studied the city's defenses. Buildings had been partially destroyed but could serve as cover. Narrow streets could become traps. Enemy troops relied on numbers and heavy firepower. Marcus saw opportunities the alien commanders had overlooked. I suggest a small strike team, he said. We use the city itself to our advantage. Ambush points, narrow passages, and elevated positions will allow a smaller force to hold off a larger enemy. Your soldiers are skilled. If we combine their strength with human tactics, we can defend the city and save more civilians. The Queen's eyes gleamed with hope. Then you will lead this strike? Marcus shook his head. I will advise and coordinate, but your soldiers must act. They are the heart of this defense. Humans are here to guide, not replace. The Queen nodded. Very well. Prepare your plans, Lieutenant. The next attack may come at any moment. Marcus spent the day moving among the troops, explaining his strategy. He did not act arrogantly. He listened, adapted, and incorporated the soldiers' experience. Alien warriors were initially skeptical, but when he suggested repositioning defenses or using unconventional tactics, results came immediately. Civilians were safer, and enemy patrols were delayed or repelled with minimal casualties. By late afternoon, scouts reported enemy movement near the northern district. Marcus gathered the Queen and her generals to discuss the next move. They are testing us, he said. Small squads probing for weaknesses. They want to see if we are prepared. One general frowned. We should reinforce the walls and wait. Attack only when we are strong. Marcus shook his head. Waiting gives them the advantage. If we act now, we can control the flow of battle. Use the city against them. Force them into traps. Human tactics are not about strength alone. They are about outsmarting your enemy. The Queen's golden eyes studied him. Your confidence is remarkable. Do you truly believe this will work? Marcus nodded firmly. Yes, Your Highness. Trust me. As the sun dipped below the horizon, enemy troops advanced, confident and organized. Alien soldiers braced themselves, holding weapons tightly. Marcus moved among them, offering encouragement and precise instructions. The first clash was small but revealing. Enemy squads entered narrow streets, expecting to overwhelm defenders. Instead, Marcus's strategies forced them into tight corridors. Alien troops, guided by his commands, attacked from hidden positions. Explosions and flashes of energy lit the streets. Enemy soldiers fell back, confused by the unexpected tactics. Queen Lorana watched from her vantage point. Her heart lifted. This human was unlike any other ally. He did not rely on strength alone. He relied on thinking, courage, and action. He was changing the way her people saw the galaxy and themselves. The battle intensified. Enemy reinforcements arrived, larger and more organized. Alien soldiers began to tire. Marcus noticed a group of young recruits struggling. Without hesitation, he ran to their position, leading them to a safer route while covering their retreat. His actions inspired others. Alien soldiers, seeing a human risk himself, fought with renewed determination. By nightfall, the first wave had been repelled. The city was scarred, but the people were alive. Civilians emerged from hiding, cheering the defenders. The Queen descended from her tower, walking among the soldiers. She approached Marcus, who had just helped a group of wounded aliens to safety. You've done it again, she said softly. You've saved lives, and you've shown my people courage beyond measure. Marcus shook his head. I only do what humans do. We act when others hesitate. That is all. Her golden eyes met his. Then, Lieutenant Marcus Hale, you are more than a soldier. You are a symbol of hope. Marcus felt a surge of pride but did not let it distract him. The battle was far from over. The enemy would return, stronger and more determined. But for the first time, the people of Kalira felt hope. They had seen a human act when all others had turned away. They had seen courage and action, and it had changed everything. As Marcus stood in the square looking over the city, he realized something important. Humans were not invincible. They did not have magic or superior technology, but they had something equally powerful: determination. The will to act. The courage to face danger when others fled, and that made them a force the galaxy could not ignore. Night fell over Kalira, stars twinkling faintly above the smoke. The city had survived its first test, thanks to a human who answered a call when all others had turned away. Marcus did not celebrate. There was no time. The real challenge had yet to come, and he knew he had to be ready. Tomorrow he would face the enemy again. And this time, he would show the galaxy why humans were different. The morning over Kalira came with an uneasy calm. Smoke still curled from ruined buildings, but the first wave of enemy attacks had been repelled. Civilians cautiously emerged from shelters, picking their way through debris. Alien soldiers cleaned and repaired their weapons, while scouts reported on enemy movements. But Marcus Hale knew the danger had only grown. The first wave was only a test. He walked through the city streets with the Queen and her generals. Alien soldiers observed him with a mix of curiosity and respect. Marcus did not flaunt his accomplishments. He simply explained what needed to be done. They will attack again, he said quietly. We must be ready. This time we act before they reach us. One of the generals, a tall alien named Varlun, frowned. You ask too much of us. Our troops are tired. The enemy is large. You are only one human. How can you lead us to victory? Marcus met Varlun's gaze steadily. I am not leading you alone. We combine your strength with human tactics. We use what the enemy does not expect. They rely on numbers and power. We rely on thinking, adaptation, and courage. We fight smarter, not just harder. The Queen watched silently. She had grown to trust Marcus, but she understood Varlun's hesitation. Most of her generals were skilled and disciplined, yet they struggled to see beyond conventional tactics. Marcus represented a different kind of thinking, one that was unusual but necessary. Then we follow your plan, the Queen said finally. Lieutenant Hale, you will advise us. But we fight together as one army. Marcus nodded. Agreed. Let's prepare. Over the next hours, Marcus and the alien generals inspected the city defenses. He analyzed the layout, pointing out choke points where small teams could hold off larger forces. He suggested setting up hidden ambushes, using rubble as cover and placing heavy weapons where they would be most effective. Alien soldiers watched and listened, initially skeptical, but slowly they began to understand. Move these turrets higher, Marcus instructed, gesturing toward a partially destroyed building. From there you can control the main street. Place traps along the narrow alleys. Force the enemy to split their forces. Alien soldiers nodded and followed his orders. For the first time, they worked with a strategy that combined their power with human ingenuity. Marcus demonstrated techniques that were simple yet effective. Quick retreats, sudden strikes, and exploiting the enemy's overconfidence. By mid-afternoon, scouts returned with news. Enemy forces were advancing in larger numbers, testing the city from multiple directions. Marcus gathered a small team of elite soldiers, mixing humans and aliens to carry out a preemptive strike. This mission is dangerous, he said, addressing the team. The enemy will be strong and you may face fire from all sides. But if we act now, we can weaken their main forces before they reach the city. Follow my lead, adapt quickly, and stay alert. We succeed together or we fail together. The team nodded, determination in their eyes. Marcus felt a surge of confidence. Humans thrived under pressure. They adapted, they improvised, and they faced danger head-on. This team would do the same. As they moved through the ruined streets, the enemy came into view. Smaller squads advanced cautiously, unaware of the trap waiting for them. Marcus signaled the team and they struck with precision. Energy blasts flashed, explosions rocked the streets, and alien soldiers hit the enemy from unexpected positions. Marcus moved swiftly, dodging fire and guiding his team. He directed alien soldiers to flank the enemy, while humans set up temporary barriers and ambush points. The enemy faltered, surprised by the coordinated attacks. Marcus's plan was working. From a distance, Queen Layrana observed the battle. Her heart pounded. She had fought in countless wars, but she had never seen strategy executed so effectively in such a short time. This human, this Lieutenant Marcus Hale, was changing everything. Hours passed as Marcus led strike after strike. The enemy was pushed back, losing soldiers and equipment. Alien soldiers began to trust him completely, following his unconventional tactics without hesitation. Marcus did not act recklessly. Every move was calculated, every risk weighed carefully. Yet he never hesitated when action was needed. During a lull in the fighting, Marcus spotted a group of civilians trapped in a collapsing building. Enemy fire had forced them to hide inside, and the structure was unstable. Without thinking twice, he ran toward them using debris as cover. Alien soldiers tried to follow, but he motioned them back. "I'll handle this," he said. He reached the building and quickly assessed the situation. A large beam blocked the entrance and dust choked the air. Marcus lifted the beam with his human strength, clearing a path for the civilians. He guided them out one by one, keeping them low to avoid enemy fire. Finally, the last child was safe, and Marcus retreated as the building shifted and collapsed behind him. Alien soldiers stared in awe. They had faced danger many times before, but never had they seen such bravery combined with calm, clear thinking. Marcus did not pause to celebrate. There was more to do. As night fell, the enemy launched a larger attack. Reinforcements arrived, bringing heavy weapons and armored vehicles. The battle intensified. Marcus and his team held key positions, using traps and ambushes to slow the enemy advance. Explosions lit the night sky, and the sounds of combat echoed through the ruined city. Despite the odds, Marcus remained composed. He coordinated alien units, advised on positioning, and acted as a bridge between humans and aliens. His presence inspired confidence. Soldiers fought harder, civilians followed instructions more carefully, and even the generals began to trust his judgment. At one point, an enemy commander approached with a small strike team, attempting to breach the city's main defensive line. Marcus spotted them and quickly adjusted his strategy. He directed alien soldiers to fall back slightly, drawing the enemy into a narrow alley. Then he ordered a sudden attack from above, catching the enemy by surprise. Energy blasts and explosions tore through the narrow passage, forcing the enemy to retreat. Queen Layrana watched, her heart swelling with admiration. This human was not only brave but brilliant. His tactics had turned what could have been a devastating attack into a manageable skirmish. For the first time, she felt hope that Kalira could survive this war. By midnight, the city was battered but secure. Enemy forces had been pushed back, their numbers reduced, and their confidence shaken. Alien soldiers celebrated quietly, grateful for the human guidance that had saved them. Civilians emerged cautiously, offering thanks and relief. Marcus took a moment to look around. Fires still burned, but the city was alive. He felt a sense of satisfaction, not from victory, but from knowing that people were safe. He had acted when others might have hesitated. That was what humans did. They faced danger and made a difference. The Queen approached him once more, her expression serious but full of respect. "Lieutenant Marcus Hale," she said, "you have done more than I could have imagined. You have shown my people courage, intelligence, and determination. But the battle is far from over. The enemy will not stop. Tomorrow we must strike deeper into their forces. Will you stand with us again?" Marcus nodded. "Yes, Your Highness. Humans do not turn away when others falter. We act when it matters most." The Queen smiled faintly. "Then rest now, for tomorrow we begin the true fight. With you by our side, I believe victory is possible." Marcus allowed himself a brief moment to breathe. Tomorrow would be harder. Enemy reinforcements were coming, and the next battle would test every skill, every strategy, every ounce of courage. But humans thrived under pressure. They adapted. They overcame. And Lieutenant Marcus Hale was ready to prove that humans were a force the galaxy could never ignore. Night fell over Kalira, but this time it was different. The city had survived its first major test, and the people's hope had been restored. One human had changed the course of the battle. One human had shown what courage, intelligence, and action could achieve. And the enemy would soon learn that the humans were not to be underestimated. The sun rose over Kalira, casting pale light across the city's scarred streets. Fires still smoldered in ruins, but the survivors moved with a cautious optimism. Alien soldiers repaired their weapons and strengthened defensive positions, while civilians began clearing debris. Yet Marcus Hale knew the battle was far from over. The enemy had regrouped overnight. Their next attack would be larger, more coordinated, and more dangerous. Marcus gathered Queen Lyrana and her generals in a temporary command center. Holographic maps displayed the enemy's positions, showing concentrations of forces near the northern and eastern districts. "They are regrouping," Marcus said, pointing at the maps. "They will strike with everything they have. If we wait, we will be overwhelmed." A general, Varlin, frowned. "We should strengthen our defenses and wait for reinforcements. The enemy is too strong. Your human tactics may not be enough this time." Marcus shook his head. "Waiting is risky. The enemy will continue to gain momentum. I have a plan to strike at their command units directly. If we succeed, we can cripple their coordination and morale. But it is dangerous. Very few will survive the first wave." Queen Lyrana's golden eyes widened. "You would risk your life and the lives of your team for this strike?" Marcus met her gaze steadily. "Yes, Your Highness. The risk is high, but the reward is greater. If we strike their command, we can save thousands of lives. Humans do not shy away from risk when it matters most." The Queen remained silent for a moment, then nodded. "Very well. You will lead this mission. But know this, Lieutenant. If you fail, we may lose everything." Marcus acknowledged the gravity of the mission. He gathered a strike team consisting of elite human soldiers and the best alien warriors. Each member understood the stakes. Their task was to infiltrate enemy lines, locate the command units, and disable them. Speed, precision, and courage would determine their success. The team moved carefully through the city's ruined outskirts, avoiding enemy patrols. Marcus led them through narrow alleys, over rubble, and along damaged bridges. He used every skill he had learned in human combat, observation, quick thinking, and adaptation to avoid detection. Alien soldiers followed his lead, impressed by his ability to navigate danger with calm precision. Finally, they reached the enemy's forward command post. It was heavily guarded, with energy shields, automated turrets, and patrolling soldiers. Marcus studied the layout. "We cannot attack head-on," he said quietly. "We must be smart. We go in small teams, hit the weak points, and strike fast." He divided his team into 3 groups. One would disable the turrets, another would breach the shield, and the third, led by Marcus himself, would infiltrate the command center. Timing would be critical. One misstep could trigger alarms and doom them all. As night fell, the strike began. Alien soldiers took their positions quietly, their movements precise. Marcus moved with them, his human instincts guiding every step. He led his team through shadows, avoiding detection. The enemy patrols passed by, unaware of the threat creeping closer. Marcus reached the command center's entrance. He signaled his team, and they struck simultaneously. Explosions and flashes erupted as the shields were disabled, turrets destroyed, and enemy soldiers engaged. Marcus led the charge inside, his human strength and quick reflexes allowing him to move faster than the enemy expected. Inside the command center, enemy officers scrambled to respond. Marcus targeted communication units first, severing connections between their forces. The enemy tried to counterattack, but Marcus's team held them off, moving strategically and using the environment to their advantage. One officer tried to escape through a side corridor. Marcus intercepted him, disarming him quickly and preventing reinforcements from arriving. Every move was precise, calculated, and fearless. Alien soldiers watched in awe as this human, alone in many moments, acted with skill and courage beyond imagination. Suddenly, alarms blared. The enemy realized their command center was under attack. Reinforcements poured in from all directions. Marcus's team fought fiercely, but the pressure increased. He knew they could not hold forever. He made a quick decision. "We hit the core system directly," he shouted. "It will destroy their coordination, but we must retreat immediately after." Marcus and his team breached the core chamber. Alien engineers on the team assisted in setting charges while Marcus covered their exit. Enemy soldiers surged forward, but Marcus used every tactic available, quick strikes, strategic retreats, and environmental advantages, to keep them at bay. The core detonated in a brilliant flash. Energy surged through the command post, disabling communications and machinery. The enemy forces outside faltered, confused, and disorganized. Their attack stalled. Marcus knew the mission had succeeded, but they were far from safe. "Fall back!" he shouted. The team retreated, moving through corridors filled with smoke and debris. Enemy soldiers attempted to follow, but Marcus and his team used traps and obstacles to slow them down. One by one, they reached the exit, exhausted but alive. Outside, the city's defenders noticed the change. Enemy troops hesitated, unsure how to proceed without their command. Alien soldiers seized the opportunity, launching a counterattack. Marcus watched from a rooftop, guiding them with hand signals and precise instructions. The tide was turning. The Queen observed from her tower, her heart pounding. Marcus had risked everything to strike the enemy's command, and his gamble had paid off. Alien soldiers were now inspired, fighting with renewed determination. Civilians cheered as the enemy retreated, unsure why the human had been able to succeed where so many had failed. Marcus descended from the rooftop to join the Queen. He was battered and exhausted, his uniform scorched and torn, but his eyes were bright. "The enemy is disorganized," he said. "They will regroup, but their strength is broken for now. We have won a critical advantage." Queen Lyrana studied him carefully. "You risked your life and the lives of your team for this victory. Few humans would do the same. You are extraordinary." Marcus shook his head. "I only did what was necessary. Humans act when it matters most. That is all." The Queen nodded, understanding that Marcus's humility was part of his strength. She had fought wars, led armies, and commanded fleets, but she had never seen courage and ingenuity combined in such a way. Marcus Hale was not just a soldier, he was a force that could inspire entire armies. As the sun rose the next day, the city of Calira began to recover. Enemy forces had retreated to regroup, their command crippled. Alien soldiers repaired defenses and tended to the wounded. Civilians emerged from hiding, cautiously rebuilding their lives. And at the center of it all stood Marcus Hale, calm, determined, and ready for the next challenge. He knew the battle was far from over. The enemy would return, more determined and desperate than ever. But Marcus had shown what humans could do: act decisively, think quickly, and face danger without hesitation. He had turned the tide, not through sheer strength alone, but through courage, intelligence, and selfless action. Queen Lyrana approached him one last time before the next attack. "Lieutenant Marcus Hale," she said, her voice steady. "You have done what many could not. You have changed the course of this war. My people owe you more than I can express." Marcus looked at her and shook his head. "I only did what humans do. We act when others hesitate. The rest is up to all of you." The Queen smiled faintly. "Then we will fight, together. And when the enemy comes again, I know we will stand stronger because of you." Marcus nodded. He felt no pride, only focus. The next battle would be harder. The enemy would not forgive their losses, but he was ready. Humans did not flee. Humans did not surrender. Humans acted when others could not, and Lieutenant Marcus Hale would be there, standing at the front, showing the galaxy why humans were a force no one could underestimate. The morning air over Calira was tense but electric. The city, though scarred and battered, had survived. Fires smoldered in distant streets and smoke rose from destroyed buildings, but the people moved with purpose. Alien soldiers repaired their weapons and fortified positions, while civilians cautiously returned to work. Yet Marcus Hale knew this day would decide the war's outcome. The enemy would not give up easily. The enemy had regrouped overnight. Scouting reports indicated massive reinforcements, including armored vehicles, energy cannons, and elite troops. They were coming for one purpose: total conquest. Marcus gathered Queen Lyrana and her generals to discuss the final plan. Their forces are larger and better equipped than ever, he said. But their morale is shattered, their command crippled. If we strike strategically, we can force them to retreat entirely. We must hold the city, protect civilians, and target their key units. Queen Lorana nodded. Your plan worked before, Lieutenant. Can it succeed again? Marcus looked at her steadily. It can, but it will require courage, coordination, and quick thinking. Humans act when others hesitate. Today, we all must do the same. Alien generals murmured among themselves. Some still doubted, but Marcus's previous victories had earned him respect. The Queen's trust strengthened his influence. The troops readied themselves, positioning heavy weapons, repairing energy shields, and preparing for battle. The enemy attacked just as the twin suns rose high. Waves of troops advanced through the streets, their machines clanking, weapons blazing. Energy beams streaked across the city, striking walls and buildings. Alien soldiers returned fire, but Marcus knew conventional tactics alone would not win. He moved among the front lines, coordinating strikes, setting traps, and guiding alien soldiers to weak points in the enemy formations. His human instincts allowed him to anticipate enemy moves, predict attacks, and exploit mistakes. Alien soldiers, inspired by his courage, fought with unmatched determination. At a critical junction, a group of enemy elite soldiers attempted to break through the city's main gate. Marcus ran to intercept them, signaling a group of alien archers to flank from above. He dove into the middle of the battlefield, dodging energy blasts, and struck with precision. His actions created openings for the alien soldiers to attack, and soon the elite troops were retreating in confusion. Queen Lorana observed from her tower. Her heart raced. She had led countless battles, but never had she seen a soldier move with such fearless precision. Marcus was unlike any human or any ally she had ever encountered. The enemy's command units, already weakened by the previous strike, struggled to organize their forces. Marcus spotted their main energy cannon, positioned to destroy the city's central square. "We take it out," he shouted to the nearest alien squad. "If it fires, everything is lost. Move fast and hit hard." A small team led by Marcus advanced toward the cannon. Enemy soldiers opened fire, but Marcus used debris and destroyed vehicles as cover. He coordinated attacks, setting charges while alien soldiers provided covering fire. The cannon exploded in a brilliant flash, sending shockwaves through the enemy ranks. Soldiers fell back, disorganized and terrified. The Queen watched in awe. Her city was still alive, and her people were holding firm. Marcus had struck fear into the heart of the enemy, and now the tide of battle was turning decisively. Marcus did not pause to celebrate. Enemy reinforcements continued to press from the northern and eastern districts. He moved quickly, directing soldiers to hold key positions and evacuate civilians from dangerous areas. His presence inspired bravery. Alien troops fought harder. Civilians followed instructions carefully, and even the weary generals adapted to his fast-moving tactics. Hours passed, and the battle raged across the city. Explosions rocked the streets, energy blasts lit the sky, and the sounds of combat echoed in every corner. Marcus moved tirelessly, guiding, leading, and protecting. His human determination never wavered. Finally, the enemy began to retreat. Their command broken, their troops demoralized, and their weapons destroyed or captured, they fell back in disarray. Alien soldiers pursued them cautiously, ensuring the city's safety. The citizens of Calira emerged from hiding, cheering their defenders. The city had survived, and the enemy had been forced to withdraw. Queen Lorana descended to the city square, her golden eyes shining with pride and relief. She walked through the streets, observing her people and the soldiers who had fought so bravely. Finally, she reached Marcus, who was assisting wounded civilians and alien soldiers alike. "Lieutenant Marcus Hale," she said, her voice carrying over the cheering crowd. "You have done more than any of us could have hoped. You have led with courage, guided with wisdom, and risked your life for my people. Calira owes you everything." Marcus shook his head. "I only did what humans do. We act when others hesitate. That is all." The Queen smiled, but her eyes were serious. "Then, Lieutenant, you are not just a soldier. You are a hero. Your actions have inspired my people and my army. Today, humans are no longer just allies. They are symbols of courage, determination, and hope." Alien generals approached and bowed. They had doubted Marcus at first, but now they recognized his brilliance. They offered thanks, respect, and admiration. Alien soldiers cheered. Civilians clapped and waved. Marcus, ever humble, simply nodded and continued helping the wounded. Later, in the Queen's palace, a grand ceremony was held. Marcus stood before her and the gathered crowd. Decorations were placed on the walls and medals were presented, but Marcus did not seek them. He knew that actions mattered more than recognition. The Queen, however, insisted. "For your courage, your strategy, and your selflessness, we honor you," she said. "Let it be known across the galaxy that when all others turned away, one human soldier responded and changed the course of our history." Marcus accepted the honor silently. He did not crave fame, but he understood the importance of legacy. Humans were now known throughout the galaxy as a species that could act decisively, inspire allies, and change events when the odds seemed impossible. The Queen approached him privately after the ceremony. "Lieutenant, your actions today will be remembered for generations. You have proven the strength of humanity, and you have earned my deepest respect." Marcus nodded. "Thank you, Your Highness. I only acted because it was necessary. Humans do not seek glory. We act when it matters." The Queen's eyes softened. "Then, Marcus, let your actions speak for themselves. Your people and mine will remember this day forever." In the weeks that followed, Calira began to rebuild. Alien soldiers fortified the city and repaired structures. Civilians returned to their daily lives, carrying stories of a human soldier who had come when all others had turned away. Marcus worked alongside them, guiding repairs, teaching tactics, and preparing for any future threats. Galactic allies, who had initially ignored the Queen's call, now took notice. Reports of Marcus's deeds spread across star systems. Humans were no longer outsiders. They were respected, trusted, and feared for their courage and ingenuity. One evening, as the sun set over the recovering city, Marcus stood with the Queen on a balcony overlooking the streets. Children played among rubble, soldiers trained, and life returned to Calira. "You have done more than I imagined," the Queen said softly. "My people will never forget you, Lieutenant." Marcus looked at the horizon where distant stars sparkled against the dark sky. "I only did what humans do. We act when others hesitate. That is all." The Queen smiled, her golden eyes reflecting hope. "Then let the galaxy know that humans are not just allies. They are a force that changes the course of events. And we are lucky to have you among us." Marcus nodded quietly. He did not seek fame, power, or reward. He had acted because it was right. Because humans act when others turn away. And the story of his courage would echo through Calira, through the galaxy, and through history. As the stars twinkled above, the city of Calira stood tall, alive, and hopeful. And Lieutenant Marcus Hale, the human who answered when all others turned away, quietly prepared for the next challenge. The galaxy had witnessed the courage of one human soldier, and it would never forget.